The first thing I want to show you today,
Mm-hmm.
can you notice anything different about me?
Is it your jumper?
Yes, it's my jumper. This is the Don't Stop Your Future campaign to end knife crime in England. So this
Oh,
is
amazing.
Idris Elba's initiative program, whatever. And I thought, do you know what? I made such a big song and dance of we need to do more, da 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 da.
Mhm.
What can some idiot like me do other than what we're doing?
Yeah.
And it's not even a jumper that I'm wearing that I would feel embarrassed to wear out. Like, it's actually a really nice jumper.
Yeah.
So this is going to be my way to support them. All of their money goes to programs that help end knife crime. My plan is that I just want to be able to support all of the kind of charities and
Mhm.
stuff that we talk about, and all the, everyone deserves it. I mean, it's a shame we're both poor. Today we are talking about the Pembrokeshire murders. Now, there is there's a documentary on this. There's also a TV drama that's just come out on Netflix that is
Oh.
really, really, really good. And it's really accurate, but there's obviously bits that they've added in about sort of personal lives of detectives and stuff to make
Yeah.
it
Make
more of
it
a drama.
Yeah.
But the whole storyline is very accurate, and it is based on the book that was written by the detective and the reporter at the time that this happened.
Oh wow.
So, and they all work together. So, yeah, it all kind of matches up really nicely. What am I going to say? Oh,
We didn't do our intro.
hello and welcome to our podcast.
26 to life, where after 26 years of friendship, we have been friends for longer than a life sentence. So here we are.
So here we are, attempting to make a podcast together, but actually everything that could go wrong is going wrong today. So, wish us luck. If we're re-recording this again tomorrow, we'll put this in the outtakes.
Yeah.
Every week, twice a week, Rosie and I tell each other UK crime stories that the other one hasn't heard.
And we just kind of have fun with it and go with the flow and speak our minds and don't hold anything back. So enjoy.
Exactly. Enjoy. Welcome to the ride. That is. Before we get started, please can you go and follow us on absolutely everything. We are on Instagram and TikTok, which is Rosie's domain, and we are 26tolife_pod. She makes funny reels. She makes us look good.
I try.
But if you
I really try.
listening to our whole episodes, we are available on both YouTube and Spotify. Please can you give us a 5-star rating and tell everybody why we're great. Focus on us, not our technical abilities. That is 26 to Life Pod, and let's get into it.
I'm
Are
ready.
you ready?
So
Okay.
ready.
Before we get started, our podcast always contains difficult topics due to the nature of a true crime podcast, but today is particularly gruesome. We are looking at sexual assault, rape, abuse of minors, murder,
Oh no.
and arson. So please only listen when you are feeling, please only listen if you are feeling up to it, and do think very carefully about listening with children. Okay, we are in Pembrokeshire in the southwest of Wales. Have you been there?
I actually have.
Is it beautiful? Because I think I want to go after doing this.
It is beautiful. I think that's where they filmed where Dobby died. I
Is
might
it
be
actually?
lying.
So if you don't know about Pembrokeshire and Wales, it's really, really beautiful. It is an area of outstanding natural beauty, which is a specific award in the UK, isn't it? You like
Yeah.
certain areas get given that award. And where we are is a gorgeous, very rural coastline. Not many people living around there. Lots of holiday homes and people going there for their summer holidays and nice walks and things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's beautiful. Quiet town. Everybody knows everybody. So we are in December 1985. So we're going back a while. The case actually goes up to quite recently, but we're starting in December 1985. And we have a man called Richard Thomas and his sister Helen. and they live in a house, a big manor house called Scoverston Park. It's beautiful. If you imagine a manor house, it's that.
Excellent. Good.
Okay, so it's this, like this, right, in the picture. So imagine I'm the picture. And then on either side, it's got a little extra house, but a little bit. So I'm guessing, I don't know, driveways or something like that. And then in the big house, they've got the big door in the middle, 2 front windows, and then 6, 3 across, 2 down at the top. And they've got like pretty flower boxes, and around the front door, it's got an archway with nice vines and stuff. So it's just really, really pretty manor house. And this brother and sister live there. And we have a detective called Don Evans, and it's 3 days before Christmas, so December 1985, 3 days before Christmas. It's a Sunday night. And the police call Don to say there is a huge fire at the manor house up near Milford Haven. The fire is so intense and so, I want to say like far gone, what's the word? Progressed so far into the house that the roof and the upper levels are caving inwards. On the house. They can see Richard's body in the fire, and the detective can see that he has a round wound on his abdomen. Immediately he thinks that's a shotgun wound. This is not just a house fire that's killed him. He was killed before the fire. Now, because the roof is caving in, Helen was actually in a upstairs room, but her body comes through because the ceilings are collapsing in. And she was found in debris, and her body had been upstairs but had fallen through. She had gunshot wounds, and she also had black rope around her neck. What they work out has happened is Helen was home alone at the time, and she was tied up, maybe sexually assaulted, but they weren't able to determine, and then she had been shot. Richard was out, but he came home, and when he came home, he was then shot, and the murderer had then set the fire to cover their tracks.
Okay. I mean, before we carry on, is it weird that a brother and sister are living together?
I suppose you could look at it socially, 1985.
They're both unmarried.
Both unmarried. They've obviously... They could have inherited the manor house.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to sell it and split it for you to each go and have your own lives.
Yeah.
You'd keep it in the family, you know, the house, not the relationship. And then if me and my brother were both unmarried with no kids, why would we move out of a manor house to go and live like in a tiny little flat that we could afford? You'd stay in the manor house, right?
Would you live in your parents' house with your brother?
Yeah, if it was that, or go and find myself my own flat. If it's a beautiful house like this, yeah.
Yeah.
If I was in a 1-bedroom flat with him, then absolutely not. It'd smell of fart all the time.
Ew, boys.
And no, I can't talk. But I actually have a medical condition, so I'm allowed to fart. The burping, I have no excuse for. That. Yeah. That's just me being gross. The fire has worked, though. They can't find anything. The murderer set the fire to cover his or her tracks. It's worked. But the police believe that it is someone in the area. It being such a small area, it's...
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why is it that when it's such small areas, you're just not going to have some randomer coming in from out of town to rob them, set them on fire, and then leave?
Yeah, unless they were like targeting lots of different small areas, then it's just not feasible. Like, you never would have even
Plus,
heard.
you'd see the same car going in and out.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd know that there was a stranger in the area. Yeah. So the police conduct house-to-house interviews. Can I just say, we've been annoyed at the police for a couple of episodes because they've been so poor in terms of how they've done. They did well.
Yeah?
Yeah, like I liked them. Okay. I just felt that they were the right level of empathetic and caring while also being really determined. They conduct house-to-house interviews, and there is one man that they think he's suspect. The reason being is because he has convictions of violent behaviour from his past. I'm not exactly sure what, but it just refers to them as violent convictions. And he was 41 at the time, and he has a wife and he has a son. But they can't put anything towards him because he has an alibi. His wife says, no, he was home the entire time. And that man was John Cooper. While they think he's a bit fishy, he has got an alibi.
Okay.
So, we now...
But his alibi is just his wife?
Yeah. Is that not secure enough of an alibi for you, Rose?
No.
Oh, well, someone's sceptical over there.
Is it a secure enough alibi for you that your wife just says, yeah, that's...
I'm not saying anything. I'm telling you the story. You've got to make your own judgments up. I know what happens in the end.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
So, we now fast forward to the 29th of June.
June? That was a big fast forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
They haven't found him. Or her. They haven't found the murderer. Just a heads up, this case goes unsolved for over 20 years.
Oof.
Yeah, so we're going to be here a while.
I'm already falling asleep.
Okay, Alexa, I get it.
Please. Oh, I just said it and now she's looking at me.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I still don't understand why she's Indian.
In the kitchen, it's an Indian man. I love it.
My mum has it, that her sat-nav is Indian.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, it's so funny. It's just two crazy Indian women arguing with each other. The sat-nav saying go left, and Mum's like, no, I'm going right.
Oh, it's so much fun. I love it.
Oh, right. Anyway, murder. Okay, we are now in June of 1989. So we are 3.5 years later. Is that right?
Yeah.
December 1985, 86, 87, 88. 3.5 years later.
Yeah.
Peter and Gwenda Dixon. Peter is 51 and Gwenda is 52. They are a married couple and they are from Oxfordshire. Where is Oxfordshire, Rose?
It's like somewhere in the middle of England-ish.
Yeah. If England's like that, it's like here. And they go to Pembrokeshire. They've been going there for their holidays for over 15 years and they go and camp there on the coastal path and they go for nice long walks and they just love it. They've gone camping and I think it's their last day and they're going to do a walk before they pack up. Mm-hmm. And their son, Timothy Dixon, he stops by to see them and raises the alarm that they're not there.
Wait, what do you mean stops by to see them? Their son lives in the area or...
He didn't specify. He said he was the one who raised the alarm. He must have also either lived in the area or been in the area, but he went to see them on the campsite, which makes me think that he wasn't camping with them, so potentially was either staying or living somewhere else, stopped by to see them on the campsite, and when they didn't return, when they were expected to return, he raised the alarm that they were missing. So we now have this missing couple, which is bizarre in this area, and it's not like they don't know the area. It said that they were really well known to restaurant owners, pub owners, the shop owners. You know, this is the kind of place where people go regularly, and they were really well known. So it's odd that they would just go missing.
My nan and granddad used to go to the same place every single year. They used to go to New Romney every Christmas, like every weekend, you know, and every summer holidays. They'd spend there a couple of weeks. So people, they knew like everyone. They knew the people in the shops. They knew people in the site. They knew people like the fish and chip shop. If something had happened, people would be able to talk about them. Like, I totally get that.
Exactly. And also, if you think that they were going there always, but equally they knew the area well. So it's unlikely that they would have gotten lost and not been able to find help because they did know people there. But they are missing. Now, 6 days later, their bodies are found in Little Haven, which is about a 15-minute drive from Scoverston Park, the house where the fire was, where Richard and Helen were killed. Okay, so it's a 15-minute drive. It's kind of, if you imagine the edge of Wales is like that, it's from one side of Pembrokeshire side to the other. I'll put a map up because my descriptions are terrible. So Peter Dixon's bank card and wedding ring are missing. And they work out that what happened was they are both tied up, held at gunpoint. While they are held at gunpoint, the killer has taken the bank card and forced them to give him the pin. Peter has been shot at point blank range. Gwenda has also been shot. Now, it wasn't quite clear. It seems to be that she had been shot more than him, and she was partially naked. So they assume that there's a chance that she was sexually assaulted as well. So it later transpires that Peter's wedding ring has been sold for £25. Now,
What?
and my dad's gold band is so basic, and I'm sure it's not worth a huge amount at all. However, it holds such sentimental value to him, to us as his children, you know, that it just feels really callous. And I know £25 then is probably worth a lot more now, blah, 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 but it still will never have the sentimentality. Is that a word? Sentimentality?
Yeah, sure. I just make words up all the time, so what do I know?
I'll play it in Scrabble with my sister one day and see what happens. That it won't, you know, no one else is going to understand that value other than the family. So that to me just felt really cold and really harsh. And
but I mean, I don't know about in the 1980s, but I mean, you can either sell gold for the price, for the weight, so there would be a price per gram or whatever of the gold, or you could sell it on as like an actual piece of jewelry, because if you were to sell it as a ring, then you would get more money for it. You'd be able to get, say, like in this day and age, for a ring like that, depending on the thickness, you might be looking at £100, £200. But
how do you know this?
Because I used to work in a jewellery shop.
Oh yeah, I was about to say.
But if you were to sell it just for scrap, they would buy it as per the weight, which is when you'd be getting a lot less for it. And so, I mean, like, for quick cash, yeah, you'd be able to just sell it and get like a couple of quid. But if you wanted more money, it might take longer to find the right buyer and actually sell it as it is, as a ring. So perhaps that's why they went.
I don't know
for the low option.
how
But
he did
£25
it.
barely seems worth it. But I guess if you're in a fix, then you need it.
I don't know how he sold it, or she sold it. I don't know if it was. I don't even know how they found out that it had been sold and where to. But I just felt it was quite callous, and also that it's like 2 lives for what? It was like when we were talking about 600 quid the other day in your case for such a brutal murder. It seems that there's something more sadistic than just a robbery. You know, you could have held these people up, not that you should, but you could have held these people up at gunpoint and got everything you wanted. The police officer who's investigating it refers to it as an assassination because it's so cold, and where they are tied up and then shot, it's not even that they had a chance to defend themselves. Timothy Dixon, their son, he makes a public appeal for someone to come forward, and this man looked broken. He was so, I mean, he had bags under his eyes. He just looked broken, and my heart hurt for him. He lost both his parents.
Yeah, and it's
young
one thing
as
to
well.
lose your parents, but to lose your parents in those kinds of scenarios,
yeah,
is just, you
unfathomable.
Can't yeah.
And he says, how can you live with yourself? Like, please come forward. there's, what you've done to my family, what you've done to my parents, just come forwards and give yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
However, in this case, they do have a lead because the bank card has been used. So Peter Dixon's bank card, where it was taken, and they have the pin, it has been used. So they take about 18, they do about 18,000 interviews, and they take 6,000 statements. And they create a sketch. Now, I'm not going to show you the sketch yet, and I don't want you to look at it, and it will become clear why. But I want you to imagine a man standing side on.
Okay.
This is the EFIT, what was it called? Composite sketch that is created of the man who is seen using Peter Dixon's cards. So he's standing side on. He's got kind of longish hair down to the middle of his neck, and it's kind of feathered, curly, could almost be a perm, very 80s. Do you know what I mean? Kind of longer down there. And he's wearing a pair of shorts and a top, okay? And you can see his side profile. On the 6th of March, we're going to leave that there because that's all we've got at the minute, is the EFIT and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We go to the 6th of March, 1996. Now, I apologise, this is brutal. We have 5 children who go out, it's a beautiful sunny evening, and they go out to a field. Now, when I say children, I believe that they were young teens. And it's a bit of a tricky one. So, in the drama, they give exact names, ages, etc. In the documentary and all other sources that I've read, they name them as just children. I am guessing that these people want anonymity. When I was reading and when I was researching, it was very obvious the names of the first 4 victims, and where it wasn't obvious with the children, I didn't actually want to dig any deeper because I thought, if I was to come across it, is it then wrong to say their names if they've not wanted it in the mainstream news? Maybe that's for a reason. I don't know. I'm just rambling. But I just felt that there was a chance that these people wanted anonymity because this is something that happened when they were children. And when I was watching the drama series and it said some names have been hidden or changed to maintain anonymity, I think that was referring to the children. So the reason I'm giving you a rough age of young teens is because that's how they're portrayed in the drama. But I can't say for certain. But I would think 5 children going out in a field to play would be young teens. You can't imagine 5, 6-year-olds of an evening spending time in a field by themselves. So we're going to go with around that age, but I apologise if I am wrong.
What the hell was that?
I just knocked over a pot. I thought
you just farted. I was like, that was intense. That sounded like it hurt.
This fell off my notebook and I just breezed on by. Didn't bother me. So there is a man who approaches them and he is wearing a balaclava and he has a sawn off shotgun. And this is in Milford Haven. This man takes one of the females away from the group and rapes her. He then proceeds to take another one of the girls and sexually assault her. They were, I don't even know the word, terrified, traumatised. Steve Wilkins, who goes on to be our main detective in all of this, he says that that was the night that their childhood was taken from them. And I mean, your innocence, it's just a beautiful sunny evening and you're playing out on a field with your friends. It's just ruined. Now they believe that this man also committed the murders. Steve Wilkins, who, like I said, I'll explain how he becomes the lead detective in just a minute, but he explains how the location of the 3 ties the murders together. So you could see Scoverston Park from where the children were, and it was within 5 miles of the robbery. on the coastal part. So it's all super, super close. Now we have Operation Huntsman start. Now, Operation Huntsman is firstly a really cool name, but also there is a huge string of burglaries going on in this area, all in Pembrokeshire, and they're all very similar. So all of the homes that are attacked back onto fields, jewellery and valuables are taken, and again, they go to all these different houses to look around, and they search one man's house and they find a number of different things. They find stolen items, they find jewellery, and this isn't just in the house, this is also like buried around his house, outside. They find a shotgun and they find 50 ropes. This man is John Cooper. Do you remember who John Cooper was?
He was the one who had an alibi that was just his wife.
Absolutely. So in 1998, so we're quite a way after, I mean, well, no, the attack on the children was 96, so we're 2 years after that. He is convicted of 30 burglaries and 1 robbery, and he gets 16 years in prison. Do you know the difference between a robbery and a burglary?
I knew you were going to ask me that after you said 30 burglaries and 1 robbery.
Do you know why I'm asking you? I'm not asking you because I knew the answers. I'm asking you things that I had to go away and research while I was doing this, because we just take for granted when somebody says robbery that we know what it means. But actually, I had to go away and research a lot of things. So this episode is going to make it feel like I'm quizzing you. I'm not. I just learned so much about like the jargon that they talk.
Are we going to have a test at the end? Because I will smash it.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. Is a robbery, I mean, are one of them when like violence is involved or no?
Yeah. So the burglaries is breaking with the intent to commit a crime, and a robbery involves threat of or violence.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. They give him a freaking nickname, and it's gross. They call him the super burglar. I've literally
Who gives him that nickname? Who gives him that nickname?
Awful. Awful.
Ew.
But there is the suspicion that he is also responsible for these other crimes, and he must know that he's under that suspicion, because as he's exiting the police van to go into the court, there's video of him turning back to the journalist going, "I'm not the murderer, I'm not the murderer." So, or I am not a murderer. So he must know that he's a suspect, because he's not,
Do we believe him?
I don't know, do you believe him?
No.
Oh, that's so cynical. Okay, so we now jump to 2006.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you see how his wife was his alibi?
Mm-hmm.
Did his wife know that he was going out and stealing things? Was his wife in on it? Do we know?
We talk a lot more about her later.
Oh, do we now?
We do, and I don't want to... We don't know how much she knew, but we suspect that she knows. Me talking like I'm a detective, we think. I also think that she knew a lot more than she ever let on.
Yeah.
But she becomes a much bigger player in a bit.
Okay.
We now jump to 2006. Okay, yeah. So he's in prison. He's been convicted in 1998 for 16 years. So 1998, he is 8 years into his sentence. Yeah. And there have been a huge amount of developments in forensics since the first crime was committed in Scotverston Park in 1985. I'm going to tell you some really cool facts about the developments in DNA. Because when they say there's been loads of DNA developments, I was thinking, okay, but what? Do you know, how much can change in a couple of years? A lot. Firstly, guess when fingerprints were first used to identify someone?
1996.
In the 6th century, 600s. Arabic merchants would attach...
I just thought that this was going to be super soon. Fuck, okay.
Arabic merchants would attach fingerprints of debtors to a bill. How funny is that? When do you think that the physical evidence, so not, like actual physical evidence, when was that first used to solve a crime?
$200 BC. I'm going the other way.
1784.
Oh, for God's sake.
They found a part of a torn newspaper in a pistol, and the rest of the newspaper was with the murderer.
Wow.
Okay, now this I don't understand. When do you think they realised that fingerprints were completely unique?
$1917.
1800. But that just makes me think, what was the point of the fingerprints on the debtor's bill?
Yeah, if they didn't realise that they were the same, then what?
I was like, I love that fact that they used to do it.
Yeah.
But if somebody, you owe me this, how do you know that's not my fingerprint? That does not look like my fingerprint.
That is not my fingerprint.
Prove it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so now I'm
that's
going to
funny.
give you some actual useful ones that relate to our case. So our first one happened in 1985. In 1987 was the first time someone was convicted from DNA blood samples, so when they matched DNA.
Okay.
In 1996, the National Academy of Sciences announced that DNA evidence is reliable. So I'm guessing prior to that, there wasn't enough research as to whether or not, I'm sure defence barristers could have said, no, it's not. So in 1996, it becomes, yes, it is. So that is super recent. 1999, the FBI establishes automated fingerprint identification, cutting down fingerprint inquiry response from 2 weeks to 2 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and in 2001, technology speeds up DNA profiling time from 6 to 8 weeks to 1 to 2 days. So those are kind of the big developments in forensic science that happened between this time. So in 2000...
I do have one question.
Go on.
Sorry. Obviously there wasn't any evidence left at the scene of the arson attack with the murders, but was there anything...
Don't answer because I can't tell you. Okay, go on.
Was there any evidence collected at the other crimes?
You'll see.
Come on!
We're literally going to it right now.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so they start this Operation Ottawa. Okay, so we had Operation Huntsman, which was the burglaries. Operation Ottawa is now looking at the cold cases that haven't been solved, and it is led by the detective Steve Wilkins,
Who comes up with these operation names?
I literally said, do you know how they come up with these operation names? Do you know it was started in the 1980s, and it was completely random. So they choose off of a list, and it's just to make it so that there's just nothing that you can attribute it to.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So Operation Ottawa is led by Steve Wilkins, and in the documentary, in the drama series, he got a serious upgrade. Serious upgrade. Yeah. Lovely man, but he does not look the same in real life. They did not base him on looks, let's just say. Lovely man, but yeah, no. And so they are 8 years into John Cooper's sentence, and they start this operation, and the investigation is absolutely huge. Now, Steve Wilkins says that they had 5 computerised incident rooms and 1 paper incident room. And I tried to look up exactly what he meant by this, but what I can gather is a computer incident room is basically they have screens up everywhere with all of the things up to see, and a paper incident room is where they have all of the evidence paper reports.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, sorry, but don't speak police jargon and then expect a dipstick like me to understand it. They had 11,000 exhibits to go through and 1 million documents. So this is a huge, huge, huge investigation. But they were also trying to...
What year was this? Sorry, 2006?
So we're in 2006. But you can imagine with an investigation that huge, there's a couple of problems. Now, first, the problem is that they don't want loads of people to know about it because they don't want John Cooper to know yet what they're doing.
Yeah.
The second thing is John Cooper was sentenced to 16 years, but he won't serve 16 years. Yeah. So they also want to not let him out of prison. They then come up with this really, really clever idea. And they know that John Cooper every day in prison watches the news. He watches what's going on in his area where he's from. Mm-hmm. So Detective Wilkins, decides that they're going to use the media, and he contacts Jonathan Hill with the ITV News. Jonathan says that it was quite important to him because he had been on holiday as a teenager in Pembrokeshire during the time that they were looking for Peter and Gwenda Dixon. So he remembers the extensive search that was taking place for this couple. Mm-hmm. And they go live from Pembrokeshire near the coastal path where they were found. They wanted to kind of jog people's memories. And Steve Wilkins said, we're reopening these cases. We know that somebody out there has information, but equally he says that they're really confident and that they have done a review of all of the forensic evidence. Mm-hmm. Now that is a porcupine because at the time they have no forensic evidence. They have the exhibits that may contain forensic evidence, but they have not yet extracted any of it. It's to freak him out. It's to make John Cooper think, oh my goodness, what do they have?
Yeah.
The next day, John Cooper goes to the prison library and he checks out a book. And I think the book was called Failed Cases on DNA. Why is that book in the prison system?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to allow them to do their own research into cases and stuff like that, but seriously.
But Steve Wilkins is over the moon because he's like, yes, we've freaked him out. He now thinks, because when he was committing these murders, they wouldn't have known about the possibilities that are going to come with DNA, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine you telling me that you checked out a book called like DNA Profiling for Dummies and but I mean that was just as good.
I tried to find this book and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't know if I've got the name wrong or the interview got it wrong. I don't know, but it was along those lines. So we know the kind of thing he's looking at. He's trying to work out how cold cases are now going to be solved with DNA. That's what he's doing, isn't it? Throughout Operation Ottawa, they realised that maybe John Cooper collected... Actually, I came up with a whole heap of names and I've decided we're going to stick to one name throughout the entire thing. So this one, he is the Soggy Crouton. So this soggy crouton had did he collect trophies from his crimes? And Operation Ottawa has access to all of the Soggy Crouton stuff because it was all collected with Operation Huntsman. So they have multiple items of clothing and all this stuff. But it gets to 2009 and he is about to be released on parole. He's served 10 years and they are panicking. They do not want him to get out because they think he's going to kill again. But unfortunately, they can't do anything about it and he is released on parole.
Soggy Crouton's released.
Soggy Crouton's out. They haven't got enough. They haven't been able to do everything that they need to do yet. And they've kept the they've kept the team for Operation Ottawa really small because they don't want this information leaking. The soggy crouton gets home and is greeted by his wife, Pat, and Steve Wilkins is on call. And at 3:30 a.m, he gets a call saying, "Boss, we think he's murdered his wife."
No.
So Pat Cooper has died. And the police think that it's him. But actually, once they do an autopsy, she has died of natural causes. She had chronic heart problems, and on the night that he was released, her heart just gave up. And when the police talk about it, they think she knew more, but she was physically, emotionally, and mentally abused for so many years. She was terrified of him. Even when he was in prison, she knew one day he'll get out. If I say anything, he'll kill me. And there's no evidence of that, but from everything that I've seen, and the police think that on that day that he came home, her body just thought, "I can't do this anymore," and just gave up. And I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. The body's an incredible thing, and maybe she just couldn't do it anymore, and I get that.
Yeah.
So we are introduced to an incredible woman. Obviously, women just do the best work. She's called Dr. Angela Gallup, and she is the leader of the forensic science team. So she is really, really, really clever. And her team go through everything that belonged to the soggy crouton that was, that they retrieved during Operation Huntsman, including a pair of shorts. Where have we seen a pair of shorts before?
Where have we seen a pair of shorts before?
Well, someone's not listening to the case very thoroughly.
Where have we seen a pair of shorts before?
From a side profile.
Oh.
In the E-fit, right?
He was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He had curly permed hair. Sure.
Fantastic.
I didn't realise the shorts were important. Got it.
Yes, very important. They examine the shorts and they find this teeny tiny flake of blood, and they DNA profile it. Angela calls Steve Wilkins and she won't tell him until he's pulled the car over, and she said, "We've found a small blood stain and it's tested positive for the blood of Peter Dixon, and its discriminating value is 1 in 1 billion. I tried to research what discriminating value means, like an exact definition, and I couldn't do it because discriminating value can have an assortment of meanings depending on the context.
Okay.
So, from what I understand, that discriminating value, if, for example, they found a blood stain and its discriminating value was 1 in 10, then that would make it far less reliable because it means that it could match a whole heap of people. Whereas 1 in 1 billion, it's a 1 in 1 billion chance that it's not Peter Dixon's.
Yeah.
Also, this pair of shorts.
Wait, can I just say that I also understand it so that there's like it will match 1 in 1 billion for sure.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was to match 1 in 110, then that's a lot more because it could match 1 in 110.
Absolutely.
Times,
So what's the chances of him having a flake of blood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Got it. Yeah.
Also, do you remember Thomas and Helen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So one of Thomas's socks, the fibres from his socks are found on the shorts.
What?
Yeah. So there's also fibres from Thomas's socks on the shorts. So now this one pair of...
Wait, but where...
I have written, I don't get that. Why would the fibres of socks be on shorts?
Yeah, and also I thought everything was destroyed in the fire, so how did they even know
They
what
said
his
they
socks were
found
like?
one sock.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? But I'm going to go with the blood being the biggest thing. The blood is
okay.
just, But
Sure.
this does mean that they now can link it to both of the incidents, right? Next piece of evidence that we find. During the burglaries, we had a robbery, and the soggy crouton has attacked a woman, and she sets off an alarm, and he runs. And while he's running, he throws his crime kit bits into the hedges. And in there, there's a balaclava, gloves, and a shotgun. Fibres were recovered from the gloves and balaclava, from his, actually maybe it's just the gloves, from Cooper's workshop. And there was also fibres from the branches that covered Peter and Gwenda Dixon's bodies. So on the gloves, we've now linked it to Cooper because of his workshop. We've now linked the gloves to Peter and Gwenda's murder. You with me so far?
Yes.
And
yes.
evidence from the rape. So now we've got it all linked.
Wait, which evidence of the rape, sorry?
So on the gloves, there is evidence from the rape. It doesn't specify what evidence, but there is evidence from the rape.
Of the children or of...
Yeah, of the children.
Dixons? Okay. Okay.
So now we have evidence linking John Cooper to both of the sets of murders and the sexual assault on the two young girls. We've linked into everything. He is arrested, and there's video of it, and he's like squirming all over the place, and the reporters going, he's kicked off. So funny. He's trying to get away. The police, they're interviewing him. The investigating officer, or the officer who's interviewing him, is called Gareth Rees, and he says that John Cooper, I'm going to use the word John Cooper because it just, it's got a really good, to it. He is nasty. He's just horrible. And he gives some examples of the kind of things that this thing has done that just portray his real evil streak. So one of them, they owned pigs, and he killed this pig with a hammer.
Oh.
And also that it said his children, but from what I've read, he's only got one son, raised chicks, little baby chicklets, and he shot them with a shotgun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And in the interview, this is what he says. He said, I never had hair like that either. His defence in the interview is, I never had hair like that. They show him a pair of his own shorts and they say, are these yours? And he says, yeah, they're my bathers. But my shorts are far shorter than the ones in that picture. And also, I never had hair like that. So I don't know what you're talking about. He's really smug about it. And so,
hate him.
what are bathers? Does he mean swim trunks?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I would assume so.
Anyway, they sent these shorts, his bathers, away for further forensic investigation, and they realise that an amateur, meaning not done in the factory, done after these shorts have been made, these shorts have been shortened after they've been bought. Guess what Pat Cooper's job was?
She was a seamstress.
She was a seamstress. The other thing he says about the shotgun is he said we can't use the shotgun as evidence because I handled that in the burglary case. So it's obviously got my DNA on it. I handled it in the burglary case.
That's the exact reason that we can use it as evidence, because you used it in
No, because he's saying that during the trial, he'd been given it to handle. So if it's got his fingerprints on it or anything like that. So he's saying, no, you can't use that. But then they realise he's getting really upset about this shotgun. There's got to be more to this shotgun because he's trying to discredit it as evidence. So they look at it again, the forensics team, and they realise that it's been painted with black paint. And they remove the black paint And on it is the blood of Peter Dixon. So it's just another piece of evidence. This was the murder weapon. They've now established a murder weapon. And he starts getting so stressed in the interview. He's saying, you're making all this stuff fit. And then he's pointing to the camera and he goes, you in there. And I was like, hi, it's me.
It's me.
And he also claims the composite sketch is absolutely nothing like him. He says, no way, it doesn't look anything like me. And this is not a time when, because they're interviewing him years later, we're talking about something from 1989. There wasn't a huge amount of images of him. How do we know what he looked like then? Because he doesn't look like that now. And so they don't have a photo of him. And that's what they need to clinch this. They need a photo that matches the e-fit.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the wildest part of this story?
I'm ready.
It transpires that 3 weeks prior to the Dixons' murder, John Cooper had gone on a television show called Bullseye, where they would play darts and answer questions.
Yeah.
Now, these episodes... Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't. I've never heard of it. These episodes, they're not kept in like a Google Drive. They are individually stored from the time, and all of them are in an office in Leeds. So Jonathan Hill, the reporter, who was the one who, do you remember, he worked with Steve Wilkins and he was also there as a teenager. He goes to Leeds and he manages to convince this archivist. Is that right? Archivist?
Archiver. I've no
Anyway,
idea, but yeah.
This archivist, the person who's in charge of the archives, to go through all the episodes and find someone who's from Pembrokeshire. And the archivist, the man in charge of the archives, we're going to say all three, I'll just edit out the wrong one. He calls him and he says, we found someone with his friend and they're both from Pembrokeshire.
No,
what I want you to do is I want you to open your laptop.
I'm so stressed. Why am I nervous?
Are you excited? Okay. Are you ready? Go into our Google Photos.
Yeah.
Is it there?
Oh my gosh! That is the same person.
Can you please explain what you are currently seeing?
They both, so on the left, I'm assuming, is the soggy crouton, and he has this thick, grey, curly hair that's goes up to his collar, basically, and it looks exactly the same as the side-by-side next to him, which is of the composite sketch, which also has thick, dark, curly, collar-length hair. And I mean,
when he's shown the e-fit in the police interview, he says, I never looked like that, I never had hair like that,
We literally have him on camera. Even the nose looks the same,
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. Okay, yeah, no, that's like the angle of it and everything is just so perfect.
So they had to find an angle. So they went through the episode of Bullseye to find something that kind of did the side by side.
Yeah, no, that's like...
I'm going to be so
perfect.
gutted if this episode hasn't recorded properly and I have to redo it and then you haven't got that boom moment of seeing it, because it's so good.
That's so good.
And at this point they know we're going to trial. So we go to trial and we have Jerry Elias QC as prosecutor. He says this is such a strange case because they have 3 cases in one, but each of them has a huge amount of evidence and each of them is needed for the other one. Like you can't have one without...
And they're all kind of quite different as well, aren't
they?
Yeah,
they're quite different. They are, but they are all needed. For the evidence to work, you have to hear them all.
Yeah, so you're saying that they wouldn't just be able to charge him for one, because sometimes they in other cases that I've heard, they will charge for one because they're worried that if they don't get them for him, that one, if they don't get him for that one, then they can charge for the other. But in this case, they have to do all three at the same time because they're all dependent on each other. Interesting.
Exactly. So it's a big deal, because if this is a not guilty, you're done.
Yeah.
And your golden nuggets, that's what they call it. They're like evidence bombshells. They're golden nuggets are that photo from Bullseye and that still image from Bullseye and the blood on the shorts and the fact that the shorts have been rolled up. You're never going to find better evidence than that. So, and the blood on the shotgun from Peter Dixon. So you're never going to find better evidence than that. And if you do, no, you're not. And you can't reuse that evidence if he's found not guilty. So it's a big, big deal. John Cooper goes up on the stand and he says, I am not a rapist. I am not a murderer.
Liar!
Yeah, and this vile, disgusting piece of toe fungus stands there and he says, he shows an image of him and his wife on their wedding day, and he says, I'm a loving husband and father, and just, yeah. And this is meant to end the day, so it's about 3:45, and the next thing to happen is that the prosecution will cross-examine him. And the judge says, well, we're finishing at 4, should we just end now and start again tomorrow morning? And the prosecution thinks, I don't want the jury going home with that image in their head of this oldish man, like he's elderly, not elderly, but he is older now, with this picture of him and his wife looking so happy on their wedding day, saying, I didn't do this, please understand I'm a family man. He doesn't want them leaving with that because that's not the real him. Yeah. So he says, could I just ask him one question? And he shows him the balaclava. And he admits that, yes, that's his balaclava, but only from burglaries, not from anything else, not from the rape, not from the murders, anything like that. And the prosecutor says, but you said in your burglary case that this is not your balaclava. So did you lie to the jury during that court case? And he has to admit on the stand, yes, I lied to the jury. It was my balaclava, but only for burglary. And so he has now discredited everything he's saying. The next day, the first thing that he says to him is, so now we've established that you are a liar. And it was just brilliant. Because now everything that he said, the jury has to take with a massive pinch of salt. Okay, the next thing that he says, the gross one, is this looks nothing like me. This e-fit is nothing like me. And they put up the Bullseye picture next to the e-fit. And it is just slam dunk what you can do. And they feel that it's, they've done really well, but they are still worried about it. And the jury retire to make their decision. On the count of the murder of Helen Thomas, the murder of Richard Thomas, the murder of Gwenda Dixon, the murder of Peter Dixon, the rape of the young girl, and the sexual assault of the other young girl, guilty across the board.
Oh, amazing.
Guilty. The court hears the judge say that he is very dangerous, highly predatory, and if it wasn't for the advances of forensic science, may well have continued to evade capture, because this is 25 years?
Yeah.
So we're in 2011, he's been convicted. Is it 2011? Should I say 2011? I'm sure it's 2011. I haven't got it written down. If I'm wrong, I apologise. I'll put it up here that I was wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's 2011. So 1985, 95, 26 years that he has not been caught.
I think the only saving grace for that is the fact that he did spend 11 years in prison for the burglary. So
10,
that's
it's not like he's gone into prison and is just going to have a couple of years in there before he dies. He did spend a big that 10 years.
He's not like been out living his life. No.
In 20 2012, he appeals his conviction and it's rejected.
Yeah.
But there is talk of, was there another victim? So less than 2 miles from Scotverston Park, we have an elderly woman, she was 72, called Florence Evans, but very healthy, very active, not elderly, mobility issues, that kind of thing. And John Cooper was her handyman, so he helped with things around the house. And she is found dead in the bath. And an inquest decided that it was accidental. There's no forced entry or anything like that. However, she's run a bath but never turned the hot water on. So obviously this is so boring, but in different types of houses there's different boilers. So you can have boilers where you turn the hot water on and then you have a tank of hot water, and when that's used, if you want to use more hot water, you got to turn it on again. See, I listen to Jay. And then there's something called a combination boiler where it keeps some hot water but then it keeps adding hot water. I don't really get it, but
you're right,
this was a house really, but this was a house where she would have had to turn the hot water on and then it would have been stored in a tank and used when she ran a bath. She never did that. So they're saying that she ran a freezing cold bath and then died accidentally in the cold bath, which, no. But equally...
What was her cause of death?
They said, natural causes. I don't know. They said, not a problem. An inquest decided it was accidental as there was no forced entry. But he was her handyman. Why would there be forced entry? But I'm guessing it wasn't that much looked into, because if the inquest decides that it was natural causes, then why would they do a huge investigation? But there is just conversation around it. It's not proven. Anyway. Also, the family says that things had gone missing, including a shotgun. Suspicious. That's suspicious. May the 26th, I was right, it was 2011. He is sentenced to 4 life sentences and will never be released. However, April 2023, the CCRC, do you remember who the CCRC are? From the Jeremy Bamber White House Farm case?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you what they do first and then we'll see. The CCRC received an application to review the convictions. Do you remember who they are?
Yeah, but I don't remember what they stand for.
No, I don't remember what they stand for either. I wasn't asking that. I was just saying they're the kind of people, they're the group of people who decide whether or not a conviction is a strong enough conviction. Now, the CCRC will only consider cases if there is new evidence that was not known at the time of the conviction, or a new scientific development which will, disprove or prove the evidence that was presented.
What? What is there?
We don't know because it's still under review. We don't know. I can't imagine.
Crap.
Yeah, I can't imagine what they could say, but obviously we'll look at any updates. I've got the alerts on my phone, and I just want to end with. I'm not reading victim impact statements or anything like that today. I'm going to read a snippet of what Gwenda and Peter Dixon's daughter said just after the court case, and she said, "To many, our mum and dad are just another two faces that happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But to us, their absence is immense and still painful." And I have paraphrased that because it's a long one. And there's just a lot of victims in this one because I feel that Richard and Helen Thompson died an awfully tragic death. There was all of these people whose safety and homes were intruded with burglary and robbery. The young woman who she was the victim of the robbery where he had a shotgun. We had Peter and Gwenda Dixon, whose children and family have suffered so much after they were brutally murdered. We've then got 5 children whose lives were just forever ruined, no matter how much you work on that. And I hope that wherever they are, they have some kind of closure and peace because he is gone to prison forever. But he is just an evil, sadistic, vile human being who should never have been allowed to prey on people. And he still won't admit what he's done. He killed his wife, and Yeah, that's what I believe. You know, she died because her body just couldn't take the stress anymore of living with him.
Yeah.
And even if he wasn't directly responsible for that, he ruined her life. He made her life a
Yeah.
living hell.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he just had no point, no redeeming qualities, no goodness, nothing, absolutely nothing.
No.
He was just awful, an absolute waste of space, toe fungus of a man. Honestly, good riddance. I hope the CCRC report back very soon that there is nothing and he's going to die in prison. And not soon, a really long and painful death, with the other inmates knowing that he abused young women.
And on that note,
And on that note,
listening.
thanks for listening. What did you think of today's one? You have to watch the drama, it's so good.
What is it called?
The Pembrokeshire Murders.
Okay.
There's a documentary on ITV and there's the drama on Netflix, but I think it was also an ITV drama.
Okay.
And they're both really, really good. And just a quick reminder that my amazing hoodie is from Don't Stop Your Future, which is Idris Elba's charity campaign to end knife crime in the UK, to take zombie knives off the streets, because who needs them? Why do we need zombie knives? So yeah, go and have a look. There is a sale on, so you can get super cute things and support a good cause. Thanks for listening, Mia Moore. Today's been really up and down with our recording stuff. But I just want to say I love you. I love doing this with you. I am so unbelievably proud of you every single day. Rosie sometimes has a crisis of confidence, and I cannot for the life of me understand why, because she's just the bravest, most incredible human being I've ever met in my life. And I am such a baby and so needy and reliant on everyone around me to function as a human being, and you have been independent from the age of 7, so I'm very, very proud of you. Please go and follow us on absolutely everything. Send us nice comments, come and chat to us, suggest cases. Next time Rosie's telling me a story, which I can't wait to hear. Yeah?
Yes!
Okay, woo! Have a wonderful day, people. We love you. Bye.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.